Okay, let's get started with Training Bites today. If you have any questions during the session, feel free to put them in the chat window on the Ring Central toolbar. We will have a Q&A at the end. I'll answer any questions that you have. So welcome to Training Bites. My name is Gina Thomas. I'm the training manager at C&K Systems and your hostess for Training Bites, a digestible approach to counterpoint training. Do you ever have customers that come into your establishment and kind of want to charge their purchase and pay later without using a major credit card or cash or check? They just want to charge it and pay it later. Or maybe you have associates that want the ability to purchase items on account and pay later, maybe through a payroll deduction. So that's why we're going to talk about accounts receivable today. Now, on a side note, I have had people try to manage kind of an in-house charge without purchasing AR, but in the long run, they end up not knowing who owes what, and there's no easy way to check a balance if you're just trying to manage it out of the box without AR, and there's no mechanism to age accounts or assess finance charges or to run statements. So that's why we'll be talking about accounts receivable, which is kind of fancy for in-house charge card. We're going to talk about how to set up an AR customer, assign terms, finance charges if you care to, credit limits. We'll talk about taking payments on account, either through point of sale or outside of point of sale. And then we're going to take a look into account management, which is kind of a one-stop shop where you can look at balances and you can adjust accounts and take payments on accounts. So just some accounts receivable basics. It is sold separately, so it doesn't come with your Counterpoint install out of the box. It uses what's called an open document method. And here's what that means. Maybe your customer has 6 open charges. They charge 6 times during the month. They come in to make a payment on account. You can actually select which documents are being paid. So in other words, Counterpoint doesn't automatically take that payment and apply it to the oldest balance. It gives you the opportunity to pick and choose which tickets are being paid. That comes in handy, especially if there's a dispute about one of the charges. Another thing about accounts receivable, if you choose to, you can actually assess finance charges. But the ultimate bottom line here is that if you do get the AR feature, it really is going to be an asset in driving business. So you will have a return on your investment. And that asset is in giving your customers the flexibility to have another form of payment outside of a regular credit card or cash or checks. Now, believe it or not, I've worked with some people that have AR and they don't know they have AR, maybe because they took over the business or there's been some turnover. So before you contact your account manager about getting AR, check your registration file. You might already have it. So if you go to Setup, System, Registration and Counterpoint, look here on the right. If receivables is enabled, you already have AR. To set up a customer to be an AR customer, there is a flag on the customer record. So if it's currently set to cash, you can use the drop down and make them AR, but you can't take an AR customer and use the drop down and convert them back to cash unless they have a 0 balance. When you select customer type AR, you'll have some required fields, terms, and it's usually net 30. Your AR account, out of the box, it's 1210, but yours may be different. You can optionally set a credit limit, and you can optionally select a finance charge. Once you have the AR enabled, what I would suggest to make life easier for everyone in the organization is in your lookups, you can go into the column designer and add the balance of the AR account. You can go into table view, again in your column designer, and add balances to that table view. And even in Zoom, if you go to Options and Customize, you can customize that Zoom to show current AR balances. And when you design your lookup, your table view, your Zoom, at point of sale, your associates will be easily be able to look up balances if a customer says, "Hey, what's the balance on my AR account?" If you do make these modifications in the column designer or in Customize, don't forget to save. And you may want to save as default. That becomes the default for everyone in the organization. So you can take a payment at point of sale. And when you take a payment at point of sale, one of the benefits is that you can accept any tender, credit card, check, cash. At point of sale, when you're taking a payment on account, you have a couple of options. You can leave the payment open, but if you leave the payment open, it means somewhere along the line, someone else, perhaps in the accounting department, will have to review each account for open documents and apply those open payments to a particular charge. The one that I like the best is the automatic one. Kind of takes the thought process out of everything. So if you set the payment on account to automatic, Counterpoint will take the amount of money, apply it to the oldest document first. If there's any money left over, it will move on to the next oldest document. Then we have specified. Remember, it's an open document type of software. So specified will allow you to pick a ticket that you're going to apply that payment to. And it'll, you'll get a list and you'll be able to select one ticket. But then there's multiple. Multiple will give you a list with all the charges that are outstanding and let you choose which documents to pay against and how much to pay against each document. In case you get $100 and there's 20 open documents and you want to put 20 on one, 20 on another, totally up to you. But we'll see that in action. Now, there are some operations that don't allow payment on account at point of sale. They want customers to either send in a check for their payment or come to the customer service desk. So in that case, you would be using a cash receipt. A couple of different places. You can go to customers and cash receipts, or you can go to customers account management. Remember, account management is kind of like that one-stop shop. You do have the same choices for taking a payment on account. You can auto apply, which is kind of like automatic at point of sale, meaning take this money, apply it to the oldest document first. If there's any money left over, go on to the next document. Or you can come to select documents and you'll get a list of open documents that you'll be able to select from to apply that payment to. A limitation of taking a payment through a cash receipt is you can only accept cash or checks. You cannot accept credit cards. Then there's account management. This is that one-stop shop. I love account management because it gives you kind of a bird's eye view. You get this nice little graphic of accounts that are maybe past due, current or overdue. You get a really nice snapshot of the current AR balance and the unposted balance because maybe some purchases were made today that haven't yet been posted. You can also create a cash receipt through here, taking a payment or adding an adjustment. So an adjustment to an account can be an upward adjustment or a downward adjustment, maybe an upward adjustment because they bounced a check, or maybe a downward adjustment because you're going to give them a credit. Maybe they had a bad experience in the store. A couple places you can access adjustments. Of course, customers account management or customers adjustments. Open credits. This is kind of a source of consternation throughout Counterpoint, these open credits. Anytime a return is done at point of sale and the return is charged back to AR, it automatically becomes an open credit. In other words, there's no mechanism at point of sale during a return to say, take this return amount and credit the AR account. It just becomes an open credit. So part of your monthly routine with AR before you run your statements is to apply the open credits. And there's multiple places where you can apply open credits. Account management, the aging report, the calculate finance charges, or statements. All of those areas have this button called apply open credits. And we'll talk a little bit more in depth about that later. Before running your monthly statements, apply open credits, run the aging report so the account gets aged, so we know whether it's 30, 60, or 90 days past due. If you charge finance charges, you'll need to calculate your finance charges and then run your statements. So open credits, aging, finance, statements. Okay, let's jump into the software and take a look. So I'm going to start off with customers. Right here, let me show you my registration file first. So remember, we went to setup, system, and then here is registration right here. It's on the third row, letter G, depending on your software install. So you can see here in my registration file, I do have accounts receivable. Let's talk about customers. So when I go to customers and customers, I'm going to select my customer, Bill Baker. And you can see he is an AR customer and his current balance is 206. Now, if all of a sudden Bill Baker decides that he's not going to pay his bills anymore and you don't want him charging to AR anymore, because he has a balance, you can't simply change this flag to cash. So you might say, well, how do I disable an AR account so this person can't charge to AR anymore? If you come here to AR info and you uncheck allow AR charges, that means Bill can pay by any other form of payment that he likes, but not AR. Let's go find a cash customer. Now here's a cash customer. Here's Jenna. Now, if I decide Jenna, is okay to charge and pay later, or maybe she's an employee and I want to make her an AR customer so she can charge and I can do a payroll deduction later, I'm going to unlock this field. Now you have to have the security rights to unlock, by the way. I'm going to unlock this field and I can change this from cash to AR. When you set a customer to AR, whether it's an existing customer or a new customer, watch the right-hand side of the page because it's going to change. So I'm going to make it AR. So here I have to populate the fields in green because they're required. So I'm going to select a term, and typically it's going to be net 30 on AR accounts. I have to select an AR account. By default, I know it's 1210, but if you're not sure, you can go in the lookup and you can keyword search accounts, and Counterpoint will find your accounts receivable for you, regardless of your account number. Optionally, I can set a credit limit. Now, if the customer exceeds the credit limit and I have the correct security, I can actually override that at point of sale. And again, optionally, if I'm charging finance charges, I'm definitely going to come into this lookup and attach a finance charge. By the way, these finance charges are monthly, not yearly. Now, once I have my AR plugin, I'm going to want to customize my lookups, my table views, my zooms, just to make it easy for people to look at balances. So if I go into the lookup here, I can just go into my column designer, right-click column designer. I would find unposted balance and balance because that'll give you a true balance. Of course, you'll have to do some math. So in unposted balance are typically going to be sales that were charged to AR today. So if the customer says, how much do I owe? It's unposted plus balance. So I would add these two fields to a lookup. I would also come to my table view and add those two fields. And again, it's the same, right click, column designer, and then add your unposted balance and balance. And then on top of that, you'll probably want to customize your zoom as well. So let me get back to my single page view. And well, I'll just zoom from here. I can zoom right from here. So here you can see I've added the elements through options, customize, unposted, and balance. So the advantage of that is, truly in point of sale when somebody says, hey, can you look up my AR balance? So if I come into a lookup for a customer, now I don't know if you know this or not, you can actually do a customer lookup right from this line here. You don't have to go to a button called customer lookup. So if you click here, here's your lookup right here. And then again, your people will see an unposted balance and a balance. You can change your sales rep like that too, by the way. If you come here, you can actually change the sales rep. All right, so in our customer lookup, we added balance and unposted balance. Let's go take a look at that. So here we are. Or I can just zoom in on the customer. So I'll just click on this zoom. And again, I can see their unposted balance and their balance. And you'll need to do the math on that. So next I want to talk about taking a payment on account through point of sale. Remember the advantage is you can accept any tender type. So I'm going to go to my More button, and I'm going to come here to Customer Functions, and I'm going to select Pay on Account. I'm going to select the customer that's making a payment. So I'll just go into the lookup here and I'll keyword search for Bill Baker. There he is. Right. And it automatically shows me the current balance. Now, my choices here again, I can leave it open, but that means this becomes an open line in account management that at some point in time before you age accounts or before you run statements, you're going to have to take this payment and put it towards an outstanding charge. So it is going to cost a little more work for accounting. Or I can say automatic. Automatic means take this amount of money, let's say it's $100 or 10, and automatically apply that $100 to the oldest balance. And if there's anything left over, go to the next oldest balance. So pretty straightforward. Or you can do specified. I want to pick the document that's being paid for. So if I go into this lookup, I can actually pick a document that the client wants to pay against. They're disputing this 490 charge, so they just want to pay against this oldest one, or maybe they want to pay against the newest one. Then we have multiple. I like this. I like this a little bit better than specified because it gives you a little more flexibility. So if I click on multiple, see down here how I get this box showing me open charges? And I'm just going to backspace over this so you can see how this switch works. Maybe I want to pay this balance. So I'll just click on that check mark. And I want to pay $50 towards this balance. Okay. So now you're going to say to the customer, I need $49.50 from you, but maybe your math isn't too good. So you can just click on calculate pay amount and it'll tell you, you should collect $54.90 from this customer for paying these two amounts. So that's taking payment within point of sale. Now, again, I realize that some of you don't allow your point of sale associates to take payments on account. You want to keep it more controlled. So when a customer wants to make a payment on account, they either go to the customer service desk or they send you a check. So to take a payment outside of point of sale, I can go to customers and cash receipts and then enter, or I can go to customers, account management. I'd have to select a customer, and then I can do a cash receipt right from here. So what I like, it is really a one-stop shop. But let's just do it the old-fashioned way here, the long way. This is the long way. It costs you more clicks, less clicking if you're in account management. So I want to take a payment from Bill. I'm going to do a lookup for Bill. I'm going to auto-assign the document number. I'm going to choose how Bill is paying. Again, you're limited to either cash or check. I'll just say it's a check. How much Bill is paying? He's paying $100. Then you're going to go to lines and make a decision. and you have pretty much the same decision options you do as in point of sale. You can auto apply the payment, which means take the $100, apply it to the oldest balance. If there's money left over, go to the next oldest balance. Or you can select a specific document, but only one at a time. Or you can go to this button, select documents, and select multiple documents. When you're finished with the cash receipt, make sure you post. If you have that situation where you're opening up envelopes and taking checks and recording them, you could create these cash receipts and just save them. And then when you're all finished recording those cash receipts, you could post them one at a time through the actual cash receipt, that's fine. Or wait until you're all done, and I'm going to say no to that, and come here and post. This will post everything that is open. So that is cash receipts outside of point of sale. Let's talk a little bit more about account management. So I'm going to go to customers. You can see all your customers in account management, whether they're AR or not. It's just if they're not an AR customer, it's going to look a little bit different. So if I have Bill here, who is an AR customer, kind of get a bird's eye view and see that Bill's a little overdue in that slice of the pie over here. I can also see his balance, 206.69. Now, if I'm not an AR customer, let's see. I know I have a non-AR customer in here. Here's a non-AR. See how this chart, there's just nothing here because he's not allowed to charge anything. And when I go into AR documents, there's just nothing here. If I go to AR info, um, he is AR. Okay, well, I'm going to go back to Bill Baker because Bill's got some cool stuff in here. So Bill, there you are. So for an AR customer, I can actually come to this AR info tab, just see some, information like the last time the account was aged and what the balance was and where he's overdue over 60 or 90 days. And down here, open credits. If I go to AR documents, the default when you usually come into this tab looks like this. It's in this radio button. It's group by document. It kind of gives you a kind of a muddled view of everything. Something that's a little bit easier to digest and gives you some nice balances over here, some current balances, is group by apply to. So you can see here I've got open credits. They pull right to the top. If I'm in here in group by document, I have to click through here to find my open credits. But if I group by apply to, my open credits are pretty obvious. Something else by default when you come into this tab is this statement, include zero balance documents is enabled. And if this customer has a lot of AR history, your view here might be very, very overwhelming. So just to kind of clean it up a little bit, if you uncheck include zero balance, then anything that's fully paid is going to drop off this view. Another thing you can see are unposted documents, any orders or layaways, any holds or quotes for this customer, and the customer's ticket history for AR. So account management is very, very nice. And again, you can use it for AR customers, or you can even look at it for cash customers. So adjustments. There are some times I need to make an adjustment to a customer account. It could be an upward adjustment because they bounced a check, or it could be a downward adjustment because I'm giving them a credit. So a couple different places you can do an adjustment. One is customers account management. The other one is adjustments, customer adjustments enter. It's going to be less clicks if you go to customers account management. So it doesn't matter where you do the adjustment, whatever you feel most comfortable with, but less clicks through account management. So I'm going to add an adjustment. It automatically picks bill because I'm in account management. If I went to customers' cash receipts, I would manually have to pick the customer. So like I said, a nice time saver. I'm going to give this document a date, T for today. I'm just going to auto assign the document number. And then your choices here, debit or credit. You could do an adjustment for a finance charge. Maybe you over finance charge somebody. I don't see people use this too often. And you can create a ticket, which is kind of like doing a debit memo, except it just lives on its own little world. But typically, when you're doing an adjustment, it's either going to be a credit memo or a debit memo. If it's a credit memo, now you have to press your enter key to open up this screen. So the amount, let's say I want to give them a $10 credit. And of course, I have to have an account. My account is 1210, yours may be different. And then I can apply it to open, but if you leave it open, somebody in accounting is going to have to deal with it later before statements are run. So the nice thing about a credit memo in an adjustment is you can actually say, you know what, I'm going to pick a document to put this $10 towards. So I just go into this lookup, I pick the document, and then of course you want to post when you're done. Okay. Another option in an adjustment is debit. Oh, they bounced a check, or they were late. So again, in account management, the customer is picked right away. Document date, T for today, I'm going to assign. But now I'm going to use debit memo. And again, enter, enter, enter. Okay, so I'm going to debit their account $25. And again, the account is 1210. When it comes to debit memo, just always choose self. Just choose self. That just means it's a standalone debit that's going to ultimately reduce the balance of the AR account, or I'm sorry, increase the amount of the AR account. So those are adjustments, upward, downward. Credit memos can be open or they can be applied to a specific document, but debit memos, as a general rule of thumb, are always self-applied. And I'm just going to say no to that. So that brings me to open credits. So this balance that you see here for bill, this 206.69, it actually includes these open credits. So this is a true balance of 206.69. So you might say, so what's the big deal with open credits? Well, when you run your statements, it might be confusing for the customer, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. But if you're also charging finance charges, that's going to play into it. So this balance does reflect the credit amount. But here we can see we have open balances. So we want to run or apply open credits before we age, before we do finance charges, or before we run statements. So I can do it right here in account management. I can go to reports and aging, and I can apply open credits here. I can go to customer statements before I run the statements and apply open credits. Or even in, so we had aging, customer statement, oh, finance charges. So here, even in finance charges, if I go to calculate finance charges, I can apply open credits here. Now there's a gotcha with open credits that you need to know about. So let's say I'm in either one of these, whether I'm in account management, finance charges, statements, aging. So let's go here, we'll do it in account management. So I'm going to find bill, and I'm going to come here to AR documents. Apply open credits is not just going to look at bill. Apply open credits is actually going to look at your entire customer database. And Counterpoint's going to go through each and every AR customer and say, oh, look, you have an open credit. Let me just go ahead and automatically apply it to the oldest balance. So if you don't want that to happen, you just want to apply open credits for a single customer. Come here to the customer filter and select the customer and then apply. And again, when you click on apply, Counterpoint is taking that credit and applying it to the oldest balance. If there's anything left over, it'll go on to the next oldest balance. But it's all nice and automatic. But then again, I have people that want a little more control. They want to actually take the open credit and apply it towards specific documents. So it's a little bit of work with that. So the first thing you need to do is you need to look up the credit memo number. So in this example, I have two of them, one for 2453 and one for 2724. And I just can't apply it through here, but I can make a look at the document number. So in order to manually apply a credit, because remember, if I do it down here, it's going to be automatic. I have to group by document. I have to find the credit memo. But again, you probably wrote down the number, so it should be pretty easy to find. So here's the one I had. Okay, the one for 2724. So then what you do is you reapply AR documents. Kind of a strange name for that button. So I'm going to click on reapply, and I'm going to get a pop-up. You're always going to get this pop-up, and it's not very intuitive because it defaults to yes. Just say no to this. And then you'll go into lines here. Now we have a 2724 credit. So I'm going to select a document to apply it to. Here's all my open documents. I'll apply it to this one. So this is less than the open credit. So Counterpoint's showing me there's $5 left. So I can actually go $5.57 to be exact. So I can actually go in here and say, well, let me apply that to this one here. Right? And it automatically defaults to $5.57. Ask me if I'm ready to save. I'm just going to say yes. And then it's done. Now I'm going to go ahead and let this screen refresh. So that's manually applying them one at a time. Well, maybe I will do a lookup for Bill instead. So there's Bill. And again, if I look at his balance, it's still the same, because that open credit does affect the balance. And I'm going to come here to AR documents. I'm going to group by apply to. And then if I look at my open credits, I only have one left. So now it's time to run statements. And I said, well, when you run statements, there's a certain order you have to go in. You have to age the accounts, which isn't structurally changing anything. It's just letting you know, based on your date range, how old the balances are. Are they current, over 30, over 60, over 90? But that's still important, especially for your finance charges. So it's in customers, reports, aging, and you can age it as of today. You're typically going to do this at the end of the month, but it does default to today's date. You can make it any date range you like or any date you like. And then you just click on here on preview. When you click on preview, it'll show you on this report, Bill has a 206 balance. He has an open credit too. Currently, he's current at 231 and 31 to 60 days. Now, what that does is if you go into account management, it changes your little pie chart here. So I'm going to age into the future just so you can see how we can change that just for fun. So I'm just going to go to customers and reports, and I'm going to go to aging. And I'm going to age it in the future so he has a past due balance. So I'm just going to go a couple months in the future. And you can do this in real life and then change it back to, the current date if you like. It's up to you. So now I'm going to preview it. Okay. So now that I aged that in the future, you can see he's over 90 days past due. And if I look at account management, that does affect that little pie chart that, kind of at a glance. So I'll just come back here to customers and account management. And let's find Bill. There he is. And so now you can see it changed this pie chart a little bit. Now it's in the purple. Okay, so once we age the account, we're going to run finance charges if you charge finance charges. So I go to customers, finance charges, calculate. Okay, and then all I have to do is just preview it. I have to have a cutoff date. Let's do a cutoff date as today. So it'll give you a report of this customer is going to be assessed finance charges of this amount. When you're done with your finance charges, you want to create, so you can create right from the report, and Counterpoint will create individual finance charges under here if you want to change them, or if you're happy with that, you can just come right here and post. Now it comes to statements, and I said, it's really important to apply your open credits before you run a statement, and here's why. Again, the confusion might be with the customers. So if I go here to reports, and I'm going to go to statements, and I'm going to default it to the beginning of the year, just so you can see some results. And I'm just going to go a little bit into the future here too. I'll go to the end of March. Okay, so I'm going to look at my statements. So here's a statement for bill. And it's showing, tickets and credit memos and even your open credits. So when you scroll down or the customer scrolls down, what they see is a balance of 206.69, which is the correct balance. It includes that open amount for 24.53. So that's truly what they owe. But some customers might look at that and interpret it as, oh, it's 206.69, but look, I have a credit. So therefore it's 206.69 minus the 24.53. So again, if you apply those open credits ahead of time, it's less confusing for your customers. So to recap, and hopefully your takeaways today are, well, first of all, you learned what AR is, how to check to see if you already have it, how to create an AR customer, taking a payment on account through point of sale or outside of point of sale, and actions and views you can take at that one-stop shop called account management. I always love your feedback and topic suggestions. When you get your recording, you will get a survey. You can remain anonymous. It's just like a yes, no kind of survey. And like I said, you can remain anonymous. Or if you're really excited about giving a survey, go directly to our website, www.cksystem.com/training bites survey. If you want customized training one-on-one or one on a group, group uh, on your database, so you can see how things really behave in real life, give me a call. Happy to schedule an appointment, main number extension 3, or you can email training@cksystem.com. Next month, we're going to talk about customer specific purchasing. That's on March the 2nd. Same thing, session at 10 and 1. This is a great session if your business is order heavy, customer orders, internet orders, special orders, back orders. So this is a nice feature in Counterpoint where you can actually have Counterpoint tell you what you need to buy to satisfy your customer request. And there's even some nice reports to go along with it. So make sure you attend that session. Okay, let's have a Q&A. Oh, so I got a few questions in the queue today. Okay, so do validated returns on charge accounts also result in an open credit? Yes. Whether you do a return line or a validated return, they all automatically become open credits that you have to deal with before you run your statements. And next, it looks like, can you go over cash receipt procedure again? Oh, I'm happy to. So let's do the cash receipt. Remember, that's taking payment outside of point of sale. Okay, let me just minimize this. All right, so we start in customers, cash receipts, cash receipt enter. Now, again, if I go straight to cash receipts here, I'm going to have to select a customer. But if I go to customers and account management, it's going to be less clicking. So I'm going to just select my customer. And then when I go to cash receipts, it's the same screen that you get from going to customers cash receipts, just that the customer's already chosen for you. I'm going to auto assign a document number. Now, depending on a configuration, you can invent your own document numbers as well. I'm going to select a pay code. Again, I'm limited to cash or check. I'm going to put in an amount received. Let's say it's $100. And then I'm going to go to lines. I can auto apply, meaning it's nice and straightforward. Couple of clicks, take that $100, apply it to the oldest ticket. If there's money left over, go to the next oldest ticket. But again, if you have that situation where you have a customer that's disputing some charges, you may want to go to select documents. So select documents will let you select which documents are being paid. So I can select this one for 3626. And you're always going to get this pop-up even if you don't offer discounts. I don't know why. Just say, you can say yes or no. If you don't offer discounts, it's not gonna matter. So then you even get a message, okay, out of that $100, you had 63.74 left. So we need to pick another document. You can see that down here, 63.74. So I'll just pick this one. Okay, now this is more than the 63.74. So you'll kind of want to make note of that 63.74. So I'll click on OK. Oh, well, I guess you don't have to. Look at that. It's only selecting 63.74. Okay. Then you can save the document. And of course, when you're done, you'll need to post. So if you're doing a lot of cash receipts, you can either post on the cash receipt level, one at a time. So here's that cash receipt I just created for $100, paying for these two lines. I can post right here. Or I can do a bunch of cash receipts and post them all together through Cash Receipts Post. And let's see if I got any more questions. All right, Dara, I hope that helped you. A customer charges their account for 3 golf balls, and then they change their mind. Well, of course they do. When a credit is applied to charge account, does the inventory adjust also for the item? That's a really good question. No. Just because you apply a credit to account, it's only looking at amounts, doesn't care about items. So when you credit an account, it's not restoring the quantities back to the 3 golf balls. You would actually do an inventory adjustment for that or a return. Can you filter to only show charge accounts that are 90 days over? I believe in your aging you can. That's a good question. I'd like to know the answer to that myself. Let's go to customers. Let's go to reports. Let's go to aging. And we want to filter for people that are 90 days overdue. Okay, so here we do have our 30, 60, 90. But let's see what it says when we run this, because I've got to look for the words it's using. Over 90 days is the word it's using. So I could come here and let's customize. And let's see if there's over. Nope. How about document date? Nope. Is there anything about, there's ID, type, oh, due date. Due date is more than, oh, got the wrong one there. Due date is more than, oh, this is an is on. You know, I'm gonna have to follow up with you on that rather than poking around here wasting people's time. Oh, let me see. That was Kieran. I'm gonna follow up with you on that. I'll send you an email. Okay, but that's a really good question. How can we take payments from our website? That depends on your connector, John. I'm not so sure you can. Depends on your website and your connector. That's a good question to raise with development if you're using our developers, which I believe you are. Okay. All right. Thank you. You're welcome. No problem. No problem. Good. Does anybody else have any questions? I'll just wait a minute just to make sure. So hopefully you learned something today. And again, if you want to attend the 1 o'clock session, you're more than welcome to attend the 1 o'clock session as well.
Jana,
Yes.
what do you call when you go to the aging report? Okay.
Yep.
And okay, once it's open, and number of age period, write it down 2. Put it as a 2.
Oh, you are going to give me the answer and teach me something? I like you.
Yeah, put it as a 2, and on the maximum
Ah,
is put it as a 90 days. Okay, and then
that's
preview. Then
brilliant.
then
Look at
preview it.
that. Karen,
It's
you have your answer.
it's gonna give you the over the 90 days one. Okay,
That's great. Very nice.
learn from you, man.
Yeah. I think you might have learned that from Dana, but you just taught me that. So thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Looks like we got a couple more questions that came in here. Okay. Oh, just a lot of thank yous. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for attending. I appreciate your time. All right. Well, with that being said, everyone have a great day. Stay warm. And I'll see you in March or at the 1 o'clock session today, or maybe I'll see you next month. Okay. Have a great day. Oh, got another question real quick. Oh, thank you. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.